It's Monday night, 9 o'clock Eastern Time. That means it's time for Dillon Talks Tone live on the YouTubes and on KPRLive.com. We have a really cool new guitar to show you tonight. We have some fun stuff to talk about. And a whole new setup, as you can see if you're watching on the YouTubes. We rearranged some stuff. I was trying to figure out a way to make this a little bit more exciting, like more interactive, like we could actually do some more stuff. You know, talk about some guitar stuff. It would be easier because I'd have everything, you know, in front of me. And then I even, well, here, let's not give up that a secret yet. But I also arranged basically like guitar cam. So we have a guitar cam over here, so we can do close-up stuff, you know, a little bit easier, which is really cool. So yeah, I figured out a couple things to make this a little bit more fun, a little bit more interactive. And when people have questions about stuff, I can, like, you know, actually grab a couple of things. We could talk about stuff. It just makes it a little bit more exciting than just staring at us for an hour. I mean, that's not what this is about, right? So, I mean, I would be hotter if this was more about, you know, looking at me. So, Leslie, how are you?
I'm good.
Would you do me a favor and tell the peoples how they can keep track of us tonight?
So if they are, I mean, where do you think they are if they need to know where we're at?
Well, I guess if they're here already, what we like to tell people is that we do this every Monday night at 9 o'clock. This is a YouTube channel that talks all about guitar stuff and guitar tone and building guitars and working on guitars and making your guitar better and that sort of stuff. That's what this show is about. And then every Monday night we do this. That's what this channel is about. And then every Monday night we do this live thing. And you can also listen to the replay of this in audio form on kprlive.com. If you cannot be in front of your computer right now, like if you're in your car, or if you're in your Alexa, or, you know, by your Alexa. Your Alexa is in you, actually. It's like this weird. Anyway, you can listen to kprlive.com through some other various ways there as well. So that is a thing. We have been uploading it in podcast form to anchor.fm every week, too. So there's a few different ways you can hear us, which is pretty cool. So yeah, and then Leslie's got like a whole interactive thing going over there, which is really
so
cool.
If you're hanging out with us on YouTube during the live show, there's actually a live chat channel, so you can ask some questions. We can interact. It makes this time go by much faster and more fun for me. So make sure you say hello if you are watching us on YouTube.
And you said we already had a bunch of people listening in already.
Yeah. They were on before we actually went live. So the reason we started doing that, right, is so it was syncing up. It was taking longer for the video to render after we went live. So they were like, wait, I can hear you, but I don't see you. So to prevent that confusion, we kind of kicked that off a little bit earlier now.
Yeah, it seems to work better, for sure. Couple of things I want to talk about. We're going to have a lot of time for Q&A tonight because, honestly, I didn't prepare a lot of material. And it's the best way to do this anyway. This is turning into just a Q&A thing, which is really fun. And I want to address a couple of things that I promised I was going to do and I haven't done yet, and there's a reason. It's not just that I haven't gotten to it or I've forgotten about you. So we'll get to that in a minute. Let's talk about it now. Soldering. Everybody wants to know about soldering. We talked about this. Was this last week or the week before? Maybe. I don't know. Anyway, we talked about it and that I was going to do some how-to videos and stuff. The reason I've not done it yet is because I want to show and be accurate about some good gear that will kind of get the beginning guy or gal soldering without spending a ton of money. I think we've shared some Amazon links and stuff. But I reached out to Weller and a couple of other companies to see if they would like to help us out with this. And some people that I was talking to about this before, because I was actually talking to Weller about this before, and some people moved around and got new jobs and stuff. So I'm trying to track that down, see if they want to help us out with that. If not, if I haven't heard anything in the next few days or the next week or so, I'm just going to buy the stuff and then just do it so that the video is done. And then probably what we'll do is figure out how we can sell that to a viewer or something, or I don't know. We'll figure something out that way after we're done with it. The reason I've not used my setup is because I have this, a lot of people don't know this, but I used to have a company repairing cell phones back in the late I want to say the late 2009s, the late single digit 2000s. Cell phone repair wasn't a thing because they just started putting screens on phones. And so I started one of the very first companies doing that. In fact, that I sold that company and started Dillon Talks Tone years ago. But that's how all that happened. The long and the short of it is my soldering station is from that. And so I have a very elaborate soldering station that can do a lot of things that normal soldering stations can't do. And so it's sort of not fair. I don't want to say not fair, but it's got a lot of junk on it that it would be confusing to show somebody. You only need this very simple rig, but I have this really fancy rig. It just seems weird to make a video like that.
Counterintuitive, yeah.
Yeah, so I want to wait and get the thing that I would actually recommend. I don't want to just speak out of the side of my head and say, "Oh, go get this thing," even though I've not, actually showed you and truly recommended it. So that's why we haven't done it yet. And then excuse me. And the other thing is we've been getting a lot of requests for me to just do stuff, like make pickups and cables and that sort of stuff, which is so boring to watch, I think. But apparently not, because everybody loves it. So we're going to start doing it more. Everybody seems to love it. We did it again today. We put some P90s together, and somebody was like, "Well, hey, why don't you do it a certain way?" And then I think we had another viewer actually ask me for a different camera angle so that we could see more stuff. So I want to try to do like
awesome.
Yeah, so I think we're going to use Switcher Studio like we're using tonight on a Facebook Live, and then I think I'm going to like magnet my phone like like this, so I can have like a straight down like view of the bench so that we can actually show stuff.
That's a pretty cool idea.
Yeah, that was a viewer.
I mean, I think it sparks conversation, right? Like they're curious. Maybe it is boring, but then they're like, "Wait, what is that?" You take for granted because you do it all the time. So maybe it's just boring to you.
Speaking of overhead view, I'll show you this beautiful thing that I am looking at right now on the floor in front of me. Look at that. So I don't have the. Ooh, look at my sweet socks too.
That have the Tootsie Roll Owl on them, by the way.
They do. The reason I'm wearing socks is because, let me bring this back to me for a second. So,
did we not talk about you for a little while?
No, there's a thing. Oh. Like if you go on a lot of various, forums and stuff.
Yes. People
really complain about other people's ugly feet when they do pedal demos.
I could understand that.
Yeah. So
it's distracting. Ugly feet are distracting.
Exactly. So that's why I have fancy socks. And so what we have is the Kemper setup is here, and then we've got this is actually kind of a hybrid board. So so the Kemper is here, and it is on and it is working. And then we also can go through our pedal chain here too. So we have the tuner, the compressor plus, the DNM drive, the dyno my roto, and then all the wet that you hear. All the wet that you hear tonight is coming from the Keeley delay workstation. The Vox MV50 is not in the loop right now because I've not figured out a way to switch that. I don't have like an AB box where I could go from Kemper to MV50. So I have not figured that part out yet. So anyway, that's the setup in front of us tonight. Pretty cool. And we'll get to that in a minute, because the other thing we're going to talk about tonight in a few minutes is this beautiful thing over here. This is the latest Dillon Custom Guitars build. This is actually going to Korea, South Korea. We'll ship it out probably Monday. I think it'll leave. We're going to do some testing on it this week, make sure it's good. I typically like to have 4 or 5 people that I really trust play it, play new guitars, new builds. This is an interesting thing. So we talk about guitar setup, right? You set your guitar up the way you're going to play. Okay. You're not stuck with how it comes off the shelf. You set it up for you. Well, I set it up as a baseline, but I set it up, I mean, I like it that way. And I like that as a baseline for my guitars when they leave. However, I've had a customer call and say, well, I've got a little fret buzz here and I've got a little such and such. And I watch that person play, and it's because they have a different playing style that maybe they don't press as hard as I do. Maybe I missed something with how they interact with the guitar versus how I interact with guitar. So I usually have 3 or 4 people that I really trust play them before I let them go, just to get different hands on them, you know, because you can set it up 100% perfect. I will tell you right now, that thing is really, really good. But different hands might see it differently, you know. So, and if it's going to go halfway around the world, or all the way around the world, actually, I got to make sure it's right.
For sure.
So that's going to be, we'll get in that thing in a minute, and I'll show you.
Awesome.
How's it going over there in Q&A land?
We had some concerns about digressing when we started talking about feet, but we're okay. And there was a hello reference that somebody asked was it Seinfeld. So I was letting them in on our little guilty pleasure show right now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So for those of you that are not watching the Q&A thing right now or listening on the radio, I've been watching Seinfeld's Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee show. It is really, really good. I'm like totally hooked on it. I'm probably going to like binge watch the entire thing because it's people.
Right.
Right? It's like watching people. And personalities and interactions and just really, really fun stuff. I really, really dig it. And it actually gave me an idea.
Uh-oh. Jude's on. He was like, I can't wait.
Oh, is he? He is on?
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Okay. So let me tell you. Jude is... Excuse me. Do you have your water over there?
No, I have wine.
Oh, I'll take that. Turn water into wine. So Jude is... Thank you. The owner of this new guitar. He is in South Korea. He's in the military. And he has very little like time. So what I think we're going to do is, if he's on right now, let's just skip to this, skip all other everything, and talk about this guitar because he's on right now. I told him that we were going to do this tonight, and he's like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it. So, I mean, if he gets called back to work or something, doing something more important, I don't want him to miss this. So here it is, Jude. This is we're going to call it 2018 because I just finished it this morning. Dillon Custom Guitars, Batfish. And let's go to Guitar Cam. Bam. Look at that. All right. So it is an alder body, bolt-on neck, 2-degree of angle here at the neck, so that the neck pocket, so that we can have a Bigsby B5 over a Shaler roller bridge, which is totally sweet because you can adjust string spacing on these threaded rods right here, like an old Framus. Super cool. That was not your guitar banging against the wall. And excuse me. This is a reclaimed Brazilian walnut fretboard that is reclaimed from the Coney Island Boardwalk in New York. So, as you know, I use, of course, so this is the only thing that I disagree with on this guitar. I do not like black peg heads. And he said he really wanted a Gibson feel. In fact, you can barely see my logo on there. It's like stealth logo. But he really wanted a Gibson feel. So I gave him his black painted peg head like a Gibson. Excuse me. And this guitar, let me see if I can make it make noise. Because it sounds amazing. So what you heard right there is the very forward position of this switch, okay? Because we have a three-way switch on a guitar that really only has one pickup, right? So that was the forward position, which is like a fixed capacitor in here. And then it's a 15, I think. And then we flip it in the middle, and we have a normal guitar. And I hope we don't dime out any levels here. What?
It doesn't sound good in my headphones.
So we're going to talk about something for a second because Leslie brought this up. There's a crackling going on when I play this guitar. That crackling is because my preamps and my mixing board are going out. It does not make that sound except for when I want to play this guitar tonight. It drives me insane. Hear all that crackle?
I don't know if I'm hearing what you hear.
So that's it, man. It's a super cool guitar. It's and all that noise from the preamp. Ugh, that board is driving me insane. Anyway, I'm super stoked on it. It's about 8.5 pounds, I think. 25.5-inch scale. Super sweet. Super sweet. Acid etched my logo on the plate right here. Pretty awesome. It is going a long way. This might be the furthest one has ever gone, I think. We've got some in Chile. We've got some stuff in Brazil. We've got some stuff in
How
Australia.
far away is Chile, though? Because, I mean, that's South America's a big country.
South America is a big country. Continent, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty sweet, man. This is a great guitar. I'm really, really excited that he is able to have this thing. So it's been going for about 4 months or so. I think it took us to get this one all put together. And it's got one of the prettiest walnut necks on it of any of these that we've ever done with this reclaimed walnut. It's really, really pretty. And it matches the tortoise shell really good. I mean, just everything just kind of came together on this thing. Super, super dig it. Really, really nice guitar. So, and the Bigsby is super smooth. That roller bridge is very, very killer. There isn't going to be any tuning stability issues with it at all. And We put a bone nut on it. I'm actually trying to get away from bone nuts, but I have a bunch of them out there, so I keep using them. Because they are awesome. But I'd like to get into some synthetic stuff. Just because. I think it'd be fun. So, I don't know what's wrong with my voice tonight, but it is.
You mean for months?
Yeah, for months.
For months.
For months, my voice has been giving me trouble. So how's FAQ land over there?
There's a question about the whole fretboard. I don't know what that question is in reference to, though.
Okay.
And it says that's the debate. The whole thing or just from the 12th fret to the 24th. And somebody said I did 12 to 22 before, but it was particularly helpful for the high frets. Can be tough to get under them at times.
I wonder what they're talking about.
I don't know.
Somebody must have started a conversation and we don't know what the beginning of that is.
No, somebody said the whole fretboard, and I'm pretty sure it's in reference to something you said. So I don't know if they think you put, do they think you put an angle in the fretboard?
Oh, okay. Okay, let's talk about that. Because that is probably what they think I said. So let's discuss that. And if you did say that, or you didn't, and you want to correct us on that, please do that, because this is an interesting conversation. So they're probably talking about fall away. Okay, so what you have is on any guitar, well, not on any guitar. So Teles and Strats, most Fender stuff, most bolt-on necks, in fact. There is no angle in the neck right here. It's 100% straight. Okay, so when you look down the guitar, the strings are parallel with the body. Everything is in a straight line. We put 2 degrees of neck angle in the neck pocket here so that this neck is kicked back. Okay, and what that does is that allows us to add the additional height of the bridge that is necessary to have either a tune-o-matic or this shallower roller, or like on a B16 we use the bow tie. Any kind of bridge that's taller like that, you got to have some neck angle so that you can get the strings up away from the body and fit all that stuff underneath there. Truth be told, though, I actually put 2 degrees of neck angle in just about everything, even just a normal Tele that doesn't even have a Bigsby or something on it. And this is where we start getting into shims, are shims bad sort of conversation. Because even if a guitar is flat, if you have a Tele and you send it to me and you want lower action or you want it to play better, chances are I'm going to put a shim in it. Chances are I'm going to put a shim in it because it just changes all the geometry just enough. And when I say shim, I mean 0.3 of a millimeter. That's what I use. I use a third of a millimeter carbon fiber shim. For those of you that don't have carbon fiber handy, cut out a piece of cereal box. It's perfect. And for everyone that says, well, it's going to expand and contract and blah, blah, blah. Well, guess what? Your whole guitar is expanding and contracting. And that piece of paper isn't going to expand and contract any more than the rest of the wood in your guitar is going to expand and contract. So it's not going to affect, the whole thing's moving all the time. Well, not all the time, but in swings of humidity, swings of temperature, the whole guitar is going to move. Not just one piece in relation to the rest of it. See, that's the weird part. Everybody gets hung up on that shim. Well, that shim's going to expand and contract. Well, if the shim's expanding and contracting, then the neck is expanding and contracting, and the body is expanding and contracting. So the whole thing is in motion. So if the whole thing is in motion and it's moving around, then you got to slow down that motion because, you know, the slower the motion... Sorry, I didn't know where that was going. But you got to slow that down by stabilizing temperature, stabilizing humidity. But a piece of paper, which is a wood product, is not going to move any more or less than the whole thing. So a piece of cereal box isn't going to hurt anything at all. People make a huge deal out of that. It's just not No reason for it. I use carbon fiber because it does not compress over time. But I've never seen cereal box compress over time either. Long and the short of it is I use carbon fiber because it sounds cool and because I have a lot of it. That's the real reason. If you really want to know the real reason, you heard it. It's cool and I have a lot of it. That's why.
And you just answered that question for nothing, because apparently they were talking about scallop frets on Randy's guitar because he doesn't want to do it himself, because he said it's like a mechanic wanting to work on his own car.
Scalloped frets.
So that's what they were talking about. It was an off-bar conversation.
Oh, and I didn't even finish that. So let's talk about the other thing. Neck angle is different than scalloped frets. We'll get to that in a minute. For those of you that don't know what that is, we'll talk about that in a second. But the other thing is there's a thing called fall away. Now, a lot of guys, a lot of luthiers will, after the 12th fret, it's got to be really flat for everything to work right. And then up to about the 12th fret, and then maybe like at the 17th or something, they'll actually file the frets to be on an angle, and it'll fall away. Like, so if you look down the neck like this, it'll go like this, and then it'll fall away from the strings at the very end. A lot of acoustic guitars do that because of how the tail, they call it the tail, when the fretboard goes out over the body. They don't want that to ski jump at the end, right? Like stick up and then cause fretting out problems in high action and all that kind of stuff. So they file it to fall away from the strings those last few frets. So even the guys, when I was having a guitar plecked last week or a couple weeks ago in Atlanta, he was telling me that they make sure it's within a thousandth of a millimeter up until about the 16th fret, and then they make sure that it falls away after that, because that's just how it works. Scalloping frets is for people that are shreddy. I don't really know anybody that does it that isn't shreddy. So if you don't play shreddy music, and you do like scalloped frets, I want to hear from you and understand why you do it, because it's a weird one to me. I've never liked it. That's just me. But what they do is they actually file the fretboard away in like a scallop shape. Actually, it's like in a half moon. They like literally gouge the fretboard out in like this half moon so that you can fret the note and then like have vibrato on it and stretch the string over that gap that you've created underneath it. But I don't really know why you would use it, unless some people, there's a style associated with it. If you listen to Yngwie Malmsteen, like, don't listen to him speak. He's painful to listen to speak. But if you listen to him play, that's also slightly painful. But you can hear his style, and he uses those scallops. Steve Vai also used scallop frets up above the last 4. So up above the 20th fret on a gem. I'm pretty sure above the 20th fret on a gem is scalloped. So 21, 22, 23, and 24 on a gem are scalloped. So he uses those too.
So somebody said, if you change the whole fretboard to a multicolor rich light, that would look awesome scalloped, and stainless steel frets with hemispherical fret ends.
Yeah, that's probably Randy. He's really digging the hemispherical fret end situation. Yes. Yeah, there's an art to that, and I want to have a tool that does it because it's really time consuming, but it would be really nice to do every guitar like that.
And then related to what you were talking about, somebody said, I was wondering about this today. Fender is coming out with a Tele with a Les Paul setup. Do you think their guitar will have neck angle?
If it has a Tune-O-Matic bridge, it will. Tune-O-Matic being like, we happen to have one right here. So like this right here. This being a Tune-O-Matic bridge, if it has one like this, it has to have a neck angle for everything to fit underneath there like it's supposed to. Yep. It'll definitely have to have one.
And then
sure.
I'm sharing links with you. I don't know if
Oh.
you're getting it.
Okay. So
That was the first two.
you're sharing stuff with me. Oh, here we go.
Yeah, just so you can. The first two are done.
Okay. Let's see. Mark wants to know. I purchased a J. Mashis Squire Jazzmaster. Solid choice, number 1. And I did not know the tremolo arm does not lock and falls out. It's my backup while I rebuild my 65 Jazz Aster. That must be a typo. Is there an easy fix? Not really. Because that's that trem. I mean, unless you want to just wrap a piece of tape on it, but I don't think that would fit in there. I will get back to you on that. I actually ordered, believe it or not, a few different Jazzmaster tremolos because I'm trying some experiments with a guitar design, and I'm going to use one. And so I'm experimenting with that. I want to solve, I'm just going to tell you right now, and I know somebody else probably already has solved it in a different way. That probably costs a lot of money. But I want to solve the problem on a Jazzmaster of the strings becoming unraveled at the end where the ball is. And I think I have a way to do that. That would be fairly inexpensive, and it would work on every guitar. It would work on every Jazzmaster. So I have an idea. So I'm buying some of those to try that. When I get those, I'm going to look at that too and see if we can solve that, because that's annoying. Yeah, so for those of you that don't know, a Jazzmaster has this really funny tremolo where it's basically a piece of metal bent around another piece of metal, and it's like a knife edge sort of thing, and it with a spring, and it does work. A lot of people complain about them because they don't think they work very good. They actually work really well, but the way the string, when you put your strings on, the ball on the end, or most of the time it's a little like eye with the string wrapped around it and then like tied on itself. Somehow on a Jazzmaster, just the way all that sits together, it unravels that as you play, and you break a string really easy, usually on the high E every time. And I want to solve that. I have an idea, but I'm not going to tell you about it because I'm just not until I actually do it. But it's going to be very economical. And actually, I didn't know how I was going to do it completely until right now, and I'm making a note because I just thought of something to solve that issue. Let's see. What else?
That's all I got.
We watched. Okay, this is one thing I want to talk about, and I want to spend a couple minutes on it. This is like a principle thing for me as a guitar builder, as a guitar player, as a business owner, as somebody who sees people bitch on Facebook and YouTube and stuff all the time. We just watched that just before the show, just now, like half an hour ago. We just finished watching the documentary Hired Gun on Netflix. If you are interested in guitars or music at all, even if you're just a listener, even if you don't play music, I would recommend you watch that because it really dives into all the other things that go on that we don't think about when we just turn on the music and play, turn on the radio and play a song. Very, very cool. What I want to talk about, though, is I have a huge pet peeve with people. This is going to be a little soapbox thing, and then I'll get around to it here in a minute. I have a huge thing about people that bag on other people's music because they don't like the style, because pop music is stupid and the kids these days and mumble rap and blah, 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 blah. And I mean, I do it too. We all do it some. However, if you are a creative person and if you are creating music, if you are trying to make music, if you are playing music, there is a lot of good lessons in that documentary for those of us that might judge other people's music to the point that it would cost us doing something that we love for a living. Who's the dude from Five Finger Death Punch?
Somebody Hooks.
Yes, Jason
Hook.
Jason Hook. You were on the phone when I got done with that. Jason Hook actually was the executive producer of that documentary.
Wow.
So he put the money up to make that. Jason Hook played guitar for Alice Cooper. He currently is one of the main members of Five Finger Death Punch. He has played metal guitar all his life, but when he moved to Hollywood, when he moved to LA, he was broke, pretty much living in somebody's car, didn't have any work, and somebody offered him an acoustic gig with Mandy Moore. And he said that I'm going to take this gig because who knows what it's going to lead to. That gig led to a gig with Hilary Duff.
Mm-hmm.
And then Alice Cooper is like, yeah, and then I saw this rocker guy when I went to see Hilary Duff. Let that sink in for a minute. Alice Cooper saw this rocker guy at a Hilary Duff show, and he got an Alice Cooper gig because of it. So you got a guy who's willing to play for anybody at any time to further his career and not let go of his dream. So when you turn on the radio tomorrow and you think this song is stupid, before you turn a channel, I'm not saying you have to listen to music you don't like. That's not what I'm saying at all. But just before you turn the channel, take a listen for just a little longer. Because there's a guitar player on there probably that you've heard on some other record. There's a drummer that's played on some other record. There's somebody working very hard to make that thing go. And it's probably somebody you respect. I would bet that any pop song on the radio right now has somebody working on it or behind it or under it or around it that you do respect. Because everybody's just trying to help everybody else just go. Right? And so, and if we are trying to be creative and make, and it made me think, and some other stuff that he said in that documentary made me think, I'm never going to say no to anything. If Luke Bryan calls me tomorrow, I'm going to be like, heck yeah, I will play a triangle solo on a Luke Bryan record. Absolutely, I will.
I don't know, but what did, what's the other guy? X. What did Fil X say?
Fil X did say if he does not like the music, he will not play on a shit record.
That is correct.
He did say that.
And that is important too, because a lot of them did talk about being able to be creative. And even for Jason Hook to leave Alice Cooper, Five Finger Death Punch wasn't anything yet.
Nope.
And he left Alice Cooper to make no money, like go backwards, because he watched their shows and believed in it.
All I'm saying is, if you're living in your car, see, the thing is, Fil X plays guitar for Bon Jovi.
Right.
He can say no to stuff that he doesn't like.
Yeah, but he was saying no to things until it was Bon Jovi.
No, that's true. Yeah, he said he didn't even want to be a sideman anymore.
Right. He didn't want to do any of that. And he was like, but how do you say no to Bon Jovi?
Yeah. So I guess you have to stay principled, but to yourself. But at the same time, if you're living in your car, don't, before you say no, look through it to the other side and see what other opportunities, what other things could be connected to that, because it's just a big group of people all doing the same thing.
And that's another little fun fact about us. We like to, we do a lot of road trips. And on these road trips, we're listening to music the entire time. And something comes on and we're like, oh, let's look this up. And finding out the other projects people are involved in, how they crossed over, how people are connected, what they're doing now, like, that is so fun.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, there's probably, even on pop radio right now, that's what I'm saying. Go look at the dumbest pop radio song that you can think of, that you think is the dumbest, and look through the credits and see who's on it. Chances are there is some money behind it. There is some talent behind it. There is a writer behind it. There is a producer behind it. There is somebody on that record.
Saying Nuno Betancourt plays for Rihanna right now.
Boom.
Yeah.
Exactly. Who else played for Rihanna that we talked about tonight?
A drummer.
There's a drummer. Yeah. And that's the other thing. All these guys, all these metal guys, they all play for pop people when they're not playing for metal records.
Right.
You know, all the guys that played for Pink and stuff, they all, I mean, Pink rules, but, you know. Yeah. So I guess that's what I'm saying. People want to just put this like all dumb music in this thing, and if it's not Led Zeppelin, it sucks, and if it's not the Allman Brothers, but you can't think like that if you want to be a part of it. Like if you can't say in one hand, I want to be successful with the music that I'm making and the guitar that I'm playing and what I'm doing, and then like either you are in music or you are not. Like you can't say I don't want to be a part of you because I don't think you're as good. Because what you're saying is that they're not as good as you. That's a pretty jerk thing to say. So it's just an interesting, I would watch that documentary because these guys were pretty humble about it. I mean, Rudy Sarzo all the way through the whole thing, just super chill dude. And like, I don't know. I had a lot of respect for everybody in there that, except for Billy Joel. Billy Joel's a jerk. Unless you want me to play a triangle solo on a Coke commercial or something, I'll do that. But, I mean, a triangle solo, I think I could pretty much nail. If somebody called me and said, hey, I need you to play a triangle solo, I could do it.
What if it was like on a car insurance commercial, like on TV right now?
Well, see.
That's what started it.
But see, then I could play with a guy that used to play with 9 Inch Nails. Or no, used to play with Filter. The guy with Filter who is now the Carl's Jr. voice.
Right.
Yeah, see. It's a small world, man.
It's insane.
And I just said that Billy Joel was a jerk. And so now somebody will come swinging through my window and assassinate me. But that's a lot of reason. That is a lot of the reason why you will not very often ever hear me say, I hate such and such a band and I can't stand such and such a music. Because somebody I respect probably worked on one of their records, and it's too close of a family, it's too small of a group of people that are doing all this. And you can say, yeah, well, you're in a bedroom in a house in South Carolina, what do you know? But I know one guy who knows a guy who knows a guy, and that whole 6 degrees of separation
it's
thing
already come up in conversation.
Yeah, you know. I could meet I was actually on a business call earlier, having a meeting about a thing that I'm working on, a project that I'm working on, where I'm going to need to interview some people that I don't know. Mm-hmm. And we were like, well, do you know the guy? He's like, well, yeah, I know this guy who knows a guy. And I'm like, yeah, I know this guy who knows a guy. And yeah, I think we could, I don't know if I could get a hold of that guy. Well, actually, I know this guy who knows this guy who knows that guy who knows him. You know, but that's how it works. So you can't go around saying, I hate so-and-so, because that guy's friend, and that guy's not going to hook you up with that guy if you hate that other guy. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, how do you hate somebody you don't know anyway?
Right. Exactly.
I mean, there's like two sides to every story, and then there's the truth. Like, yeah. Do you really know?
Exactly. So, and that's what I'm saying. It's a huge thing I see every day on social media, and I'm just like, you can't get ahead. Well, it's like, I'm just going to steal something from Gary Vaynerchuk, and this has nothing to do with guitar tech, and even this whole subject has nothing to do with guitar tech, but it is very integral to the principles that make me do this show and make me do all this Dillon Talks Tone stuff. And that is, Gary Vaynerchuk says this all the time. He says, I want to have the tallest building in town. And there's 2 ways to build the tallest building in town. You build the tallest building in town, or you tear everybody else down so that you have the tallest building in town. And I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to tear somebody down.
Oh, I was like, what is the point of that? That sounds very negative.
No, I mean, but that's what you do. If you say, I don't want to have anything to do with this music because I'm making this music over here, that's better. That's what you're doing. You're tearing down somebody else's building so you can be taller than them. Anyway, that's my soapbox about that. I've been meaning to go off about that all week because it's been really, really bugging me. And since we had a few minutes this evening, I figured I would do that. We talked about the new build. NAMM is next week. If you're going to NAMM.
It's this week.
Yeah. So if you are going to NAMM this week, there's a couple things you should do. One, you should stop by Keeley Electronics and check out his new pedals because he has some stuff. I have actually been sworn to secrecy. I already know what it is, and it's awesome. And so you should go by there and see it. And he told me that we're going to talk about it when he gets back. So that's very cool. So go check that out. And I also, you have to go by the Boss booth because Scott Gaylor is going to be there all 4 days on both stages. And he is going to be playing a guitar made by Killer Bee Guitars out of Memphis, Tennessee. And it is going to have my pickups in it.
It does have. Not it's going to have. It does have.
No, it does have. No, but he will be there. He's going to be there. All 4 days, shredding on that guitar. He only got it like a week ago. It was kind of a last minute completion. So it's a Killer Bee guitar with a center punch in the neck and a great an 8-ball in the bridge. And he said he loves it. He's been playing it. And so I'm pretty stoked about that. So we have a guitar at NAMM. I mean, we have, our stuff is at NAMM in that Killer Bee. So I'm pretty excited about that. So go check that out for sure. And if there's something you know about or you want, check it out. If you're going and you check something out, please let me know. And maybe give us some comments on it. Let us know what you think of whatever you see that in the comments. And we'll try to mention you next week. Or I'll look into it some more over this weekend. I'm going to be paying attention, obviously. Even though we didn't go, I'm going to be paying attention. So I'm sure we'll have a bunch of stuff to talk about next week from the NAMM show because it'll get over Sunday and then we'll be able to carry on some of that. Pretty sweet. Be super fun. What else is going on over there in Q&A land?
Digressing, talking about music and who writes for who, and
oh yeah,
there was some Ed Sheeran talk and some Taylor Swift talk, and then Justin, we have to give him a shout out. He's always really good about go like the video. He was like, there's 18 of us here and there's only 6 likes on this video.
Oh,
he's rallying everybody up. It's awesome.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate that. Just so you know, likes on YouTube and little hearts and stuff. There's hearts and likes and comments. All that stuff really, really helps. They made man, I'll tell you, the number one thing that helps YouTube channels is shares. They made a huge change to YouTube, and a lot of smaller channels are losing their ad revenue and stuff. We don't focus on ad revenue so much around here. We don't make a lot of money off ad revenue. So I don't really focus on it. However, I will say that it's nice to have, and that it is a reflection of how the YouTube channel is doing as a whole, which also puts it higher in searches and stuff. So sharing is caring. It is the biggest thing, man. So anytime you see a video of ours, if you like it, hit the like button and hit the share button at the same time. Would be fantastic.
Especially if you get value from it. That's what it's about, right?
Yeah. And if you don't, if I could get, because we get a lot of emails and stuff. I got an email from Spain again this morning, I think. I think I got one from Belgium. And if everybody that liked a video actually shared that video, that would be fantastic. That would be really, really awesome. Because what that does is it helps like I don't make any more money from that really when you share something. So it's not about that. It's more about when somebody says, I want to know about capacitors in my guitar, YouTube takes that. Well, this video has been shared a lot of times and it's about capacitors in a guitar. We're going to put it higher up in the search terms so that when somebody searches for that, it comes up first. You know, and then of course this community right here builds and more people get to listen. Because how many have we had on tonight?
Right now we're running about 18. I think we peaked at 24.
Well, that's really cool because let me tell you something else. I was told this week by the owner of KPRLive.com, the radio station that we're also broadcasting this on right now, that on an average 200 people listen to us every week.
Yeah, so here we are right here in this YouTube action, and it's not even our biggest audience for tonight.
No. And
so we do appreciate it, all of you.
And here's the thing, though. I started doing this YouTube side of it because of the interaction. We can't hear and talk to really the people that listen on the radio because maybe they're driving a car, maybe they're, off, staring at an Alexa or something, maybe they're doing other things, vacuuming their house. I don't know. But you guys that listen on the YouTube or watch on YouTube provide a lot of the interaction for us. And actually, then when we hear people listening on the show, on the radio show, and then they email me later in the week and stuff, I mean, this is where all my ideas for videos come from. So anymore. Back in the day, so I'll just tell you about this. Since we don't have a whole lot of content, and I'll just give you a little history lesson here with Dillon Talks Tone. For those of you that are still hanging in with us. When we first started doing this, I want to say, what did we say, 3 years ago or something? Mm-hmm. Right about 3 years ago. I had basically a cell phone and a little desk tripod. And it was in this room. And this room used to be, we didn't have a studio and a shop and all that. This room was everything. We had a desk on that side of the room over there. And then we had a cabinet here, I think, and then maybe some cabinets over there, and then a desk over there. And Leslie and I actually shared the same room. So she had her office for her whole makeup business and for her whole support business. Everything she does was in here as well. And then my desk was right over there. And I would literally ask her, like, is the phone facing the right direction? Does it look good? And I'll be like, okay. And then I'd press record and we would talk about, so the very, very early ones where you see like the tool bins, the orange tool bins and stuff. And we're talking about like 250 versus 500K pots, which is one of our most watched videos ever, was in this room right there. So then when we got done shooting a video, we had to take everything off the desk and put it all away and put the lights all away and stuff. And then we had to go set up the guitar and pickup. Well, we weren't building guitars back then. So the pickup building stuff. So then we had set that up. And then when we started building guitars, then we'd like take that down and then set up the guitar setup and building station, like all on the same table. Like everything happened in this room. And then it got to a point where it got really crazy. And so when you guys were at that point, we didn't have any ideas for videos. I was literally like, I had a whiteboard and I would literally like, okay, I was making editing and uploading a video every day. I did it for like 3 months. I did a video every single day and it was a daily tech tip thing. And they were too long and they were boring and stuff. And so, I know they've gotten better, but that all happened right here. And I didn't have any ideas for that. And it took the longest time to get maybe, I don't know, 500 subscriptions or something. And then 1,000. And, I think now we're at, I don't know, it's going to be almost 7,000 here pretty quick. I don't really focus on subscribers as much as I probably should. Say, oh, subscribe. I don't do that. Please subscribe. I mean, please. But we focus more on the quality of the content and how many views it's getting and how searchable it is. Because the thing for me is I want the stuff that we're making, I want people to be able to find it, to be able to save money, to be able to make solid decisions on their guitar tech stuff. So, you know, everybody else is like, well, you want 1 million subscribers. Yeah, of course you do. But we have, I don't know, 3,400 people viewing our videos every day. And that is the most important thing to me. But you guys are the reason. So that's a huge way of saying thank you, really. Just giving you this whole story and telling you it's a huge way of saying thank you. You know, I'm moving my arms around while I'm talking because I don't have anything in front of me like I did last week. And I made this video a couple weeks ago, and I was like all animated and stuff. Somebody told me a couple months ago, they were like, the live thing isn't for you, man. You're super boring to watch, and I don't know how you could sit through an hour of this on blah, 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 blah. And I was like, all right, well, I'll try to spice it up some. So I started doing these videos more animated. I don't know if you guys have noticed that, but we've started shooting a more vlog style, and I'm moving around a little more and I'm doing stuff. And then somebody's like, do you ever get tired of gesticulating so much?
I mean, you can never please anybody. I do. So this is a perfect time to bring this up. We actually had somebody mention that you used to do very technical topics on very specific subjects. Do you have any plans to go back to those? And I just invited, you know, do you have some topics that you want covered? This is all driven by the audience, and the Q&A seemed to be a common request. And he just said he likes topics on mods, wiring, and repairs, both on guitars and amps. So just something to keep in mind. Like, I don't know if maybe we need to do a 10-minute, 20-minute segment, because maybe we still do have that audience that is looking and waiting for that also.
Well, we'll do it. Yeah, and if he has any specific...
That was as specific as he got then. So,
see, here's the thing.
There's so much content we have. Yeah.
We have 350 videos.
Right.
And so, yeah, I want to say 350 or so. And there's a lot of stuff covered. And in fact, the other day I was just saying, man, I feel like I'm talking about the same stuff over again. Like I did this already. And so I started actually going back and watching. I literally went back, and this is why I'm talking about this tonight, because I've been doing it lately. I went back and started watching all those old videos, and I'm like, they are terrible. They're not. They're good. They're really good, but in comparison
but we
to
weren't tagging them, and you probably couldn't find them. So, like, if you're looking for a topic, maybe they couldn't even find it.
Right. So I spent like hours the other day going through and like putting hashtags on every video so you can search better, so that everything is. So I've been spending a lot of time on that, making sure that the old content is still, because it's still usable. Right. It's just not very findable. So I've been working on that. That being said, if there's anything that you want to see, I always say this, and I say it at the end of every video. If there's something you want to know about, leave a note in the comments, and I will make a video just for you. I do that. I literally will do that. You will say, I have a question about such and such. And if I don't already have a video on it, or if I go back and I watch that video and I think, I could do this better, I will either give you a link to that video or I will make a new one. Okay. And you'll know it's for you. The people that I've done this for, I do it all the time, and they'll always email me and be like, oh, I could tell I asked that question and you made that video right after that. And I'm like, yep, I did. I did it just for you. And I really mean that. Like, that's really important. I think we need to do that. So, we are running out of time.
We are.
It is 9:59. Do you know where your children are?
Yep.
I do. So yeah, keep an eye on the NAMM show this week. Please let us know if there's anything that you saw that you found interesting from the NAMM show. Anything you saw interesting in our videos, have a question, any of that kind of stuff. And feel free to let us know if there's anything we can do to, like I said, make this better. I mean, even this was like, it's more fun. It's more interactive. And if I'm trying to figure out ways to make this better, like make it more interactive, we can talk about stuff. I just didn't have anything tonight, really, but that's that. That's all I can think of. Do you have anything else to add, or is there any last minute second questions or observations?
I'm sending you some information. I invited somebody to email you, and I'm giving you the back history of what they commented. I think it would be maybe not a topic that we talk about here, but just to
Excellent.
Anytime, email. Dillon@dillonpickups.com.
That's it. Sounds great. I hope everybody has a great week. And until next time, we will see you on the internets.